Hi everyone, I'm Allie with the Potomac Bead Company, and I'm going to show you how to do this star pendant. The idea is to make it a pendant, but it would also be a good idea for a zipper pull, since we have colder weather coming up, and you could put this as a zipper pull. You could also do it as earrings, pendant. It's kind of up to you what you want to do it as. My husband thinks it looks like the Captain America symbol. Or some superhero symbol. I think it looks a little bit patriotic, but I'm going to do it in some prettier colors here for the video. For this, you're going to be using Super Duos and 11O seed beads. The Super Duos that are here are the opaque blue, the opaque red, and then the 11O seed beads are the opaque blue right there, and then opaque cobalt is what they call it, exactly. And then the Duracoat silver on the outer sides. And then I have some opaque red beads here at the top, and then I just have an enhancer bail, which you can change out and you can use kind of whatever you want at the top. But bead-wise, for this example, I'm going to do it a little bit more feminine rather than the patriotic star. I'm going to be using, for my 11Os, both inside and outside, the Crystal Labrador full color, which is a check finish on the Miyuki bead. I'm also going to be using the Crystal Lila luster, which is a nice pink with a golden bit of luster. Super Duo, also a check product, and another Super Duo color to do the two-toned star, which is my copper luster. The star, when you're doing it, is going to be 25 for your Super Duos needed for your outer star, and you're going to need 15 for your inner star. Also, I'm using a size 10 English beading needle. I'm using a scissors and some wildfire beading thread in .006. .008 would also work as well, depending on what you want to use. But we'll go ahead and get ready to get started. So to get started, on my bead mat, what I've done is I've dumped out little piles. This is a bead mat that I work on. It's a nice surface. It makes it easy for you to pick up the beads with your needle. I cut about 30 inches of my beading thread, and I'm just using one needle. I'm not going to bother with a stop bead at the end. I'm just going to hold at the end here. My rotation of what I'm going to put on for my center is I'm going to do one of my 11O seed beads, and then I'm going to do two of my Super Duos. One 11O seed bead, two Super Duos. And I'm going to do this until I have on my thread here, until I have 10 Super Duos. So I'm going to keep going in groups of 2. So I'm going to end up with 5 groups of 2 for my star. And those groups of 2, again, are all separated by an 11O seed bead. When you finish, you do want to finish just with your Super Duos, since we started with our 11O. So once we get all 10 of those Super Duos on with the 11s in between, I'm going to tie this in a round. Remember, I did not do a stop bead, which will allow me to tie this. And I'm going to tie it in a square knot right over left, and then left over right, but I'm not going to pull too tightly. We'll use this tail at the very end, and again, it's just about 2 inches. We're going to use this tail at the very end in order to tie our beginning thread to. So you want to have that tail just kind of out and right down through the middle. I like to push it kind of to the back so it's not in the way. With my thread coming out between a Super Duo and an 11O, I'm going to take my needle and go through the top hole of the same Super Duo that I'm on the side of. What that's going to do is have a little thread exposed on the side, and then I'm going to be coming out that top hole. Once I have this tied in around and the thread's coming out the top hole of the Super Duo, it's going to be exiting between 2 of the Super Duos that are right next to one another without the 11O between. What I'm going to do at that point is pick up 2 beads of my alternate color of my Super Duos, and I'm going to go through the next top hole of the other Super Duo that's next to it. When I pull tight, it creates a little bit almost of a herringbone effect that we're going to be using throughout. When I'm above the 11O seed bead, I'm going to add another of my luster beads here, and then go through the next hole of, or the top hole of the next Super Duo. Again, I'm at the point where I do not have an 11O underneath, so on go 2 of my Lila beads. I do have an 11O underneath, so on goes 1 of my lusters. Spinning around, adding 2 of my pink beads in between, And you can see that herringbone starting to take place. So again, anytime you're over an 11-0 seed bead with your needle coming up between those two super duos, on is going to go another bead of that same color. That's going to start our inner star. And then our outer star is going to be started by those two of the alternating color. Sometimes when you have super duo beads, they're going to have a little bit of a blockage in them. As you can see here, I can usually take my needle and just kind of push that blockage out. Go at it from both sides, and you'll be able to push it out with your needle. You can also use a reamer, but sometimes with a reamer you actually break the glass and the bead will break. But I'm over an 11-0 seed bead, so I'm going to put on one of my super duos. Again, two of my pink super duos go on in between, and I give a nice tight pull so they create that little V section. Another one of my lusters go on, and I'm going to be finishing up by adding 5 lusters on, and then I'm going to be adding 10 of my pink here. Adding the pinks 2 at a time, and the luster just 1 at a time. To finish out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle and thread, go through my last super duo, and at the same time, I'm going to come out between my 2 beads here, my pink and my gray. So as you look at the star, that's actually going to be the intersection and the inner points of the star. What I'm going to do now is build up the sides. Whenever you're going around in a circle with the super duos, you want to try to hide the thread. So currently my thread and my needle are coming out in between 2 different colors of the super duos. I'm going to take my thread and my needle through those first 2 pink super duos that I put on in that second row. When I'm through those, I'm going to take my needle, just like I did with the first row, and I'm going to back it around. That's going to expose the thread on the side of the super duo, going from the top hole to, or the bottom hole to the top hole. So you're going to see a little thread on the side, but you're not going to see a ton of thread going through the middle of the project. Where we had the thread on this side here, it's well concealed, and the same thing on this third row that we're going to get started, it's going to be well concealed as well. On the third row, when we're between our super duos, we're going to add 3 of our 11-0s. So this is where we added in that herringbone style the 2 super duos. So between the pinks, we're going to add 3 of our 11-0s to separate our stars a little bit. When I'm coming out between the pink and the gray here, that luster bead, I'm going to add another one of my pink beads. So through the gray, another pink, and then over to the pink. You can see that's starting to form my little side there of my star. Again, when you're between 2 of the same color at that herringbone portion, that's where I'm going to add my 3 seed beads. So I'm picking up 3 11-0s, and I'm adding those. You can also use 8-0s here if you wanted to. It would just be 1 8-0. If you used 15-0s, you're looking at about 4 15-0s. When I'm coming out between these 2 empty spaces here, that's when I'm going to add my pink again. And I'm going to continue this the whole way around, adding the pinks on the sides here in a peyote fashion. And then in between my lila beads here, go 3 of my full Labrador 11-0s. And this is going to be a little bit of a softer, less superhero look to the star. You can also do these in winter colors. They would look nice as snowflakes. And just because I did a 5-pointed star doesn't mean you can't do more points to your star. But as I go around here, I'm starting to get more of that star shape. When you're looking at the pink one versus the blue and the red, the pink one that I'm doing, you are getting a softer look, so it's getting a little bit less noticeable that it's that star right away. And that's where if you would want to do it in winter colors, it would start to look a little bit more like a snowflake. Winter colors, I mean, you know, the silvers, the golds, the creams, and the whites. It would look a little bit snowflake-ish. I'm almost around the whole section here. I'm getting ready to add my last bead, and I know that's true because I'm hitting the bead that the first 3 beads were put on. I'm going to go through that first super duo. So I'm back at my starting point. I'm also going to go through those 3 11-0 seed beads that I put on last row. So I don't expose any thread. We're going to go through 4 super duos. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this might take some wiggling to get your needle through there. If you do get through the 5th and not out through those 4 beads, because there's 5 in the pointed star section, you can just kind of back it out through that one. But what this is going to allow me to do is, in an inconspicuous place, take that needle and thread from the bottom hole to the top hole on the side of one of the super duos. Again, you're going to see a little bit of that thread on the side. When I'm coming out the top here, I'm going to get ready to add my last little star section. So in between the star section, at the top of the pinks here, in between those, I'm going to be adding 1 more pink. That's going to be the final point to my star. And then in between here, I'm going to be adding 7 of my 11-0 seed beads. The top hole of the super duo is just going to stay exposed. You can go back then and add a 3rd row if you want of 11-0s. I just kept it exposed. I like the look of it kind of popping off the silver background. If you do go around one more time, you want to make sure to have both of your 11-0s ready that you need more of, because it's going to be probably about 11 or so 11-0s from point to point. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and keep mine open. So in between my pinks, I'm going to add my last point of my star. And then when I'm coming out, 7 of my Labrador beads go on. And then I'm going to sew the whole way across to the next pink bead. Those 7 11-0s will just stick right on top of the 3 from the previous row. Again, another super duo goes on, and I'm going to sew through the next portion. So you can see it's starting to take shape there. I'm going to put on 7 more. Pick up the next open hole of a super duo. And then again, another super duo. If you do have some super duos that do have blocked holes that you're not able to get out, this is a great place to use them because you're only going to be utilizing 1 hole. Again, 7 of my 11-0s go on. This could also be used as a bracelet that you could create these stars and then connect them, or even connect them here on the sides for a peyote strip on the side and just have the star in the middle. But I'm going to continue doing this the whole way around, adding my points of my star and then my 7 beads in between. So I've added my last 2 point beads, and I'm coming around to add my last and final bead. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my last super duo that's right across from the other one. And at the same time, I'm going to take my needle through the first hole of that first point of the star that I added. Again, just like I've been doing, to get to the next level, whether or not you're going around one more time with your 11-0s, or if you're coming up to do your bail, it's going to be the same. I'm going to go through the top hole of my super duo here. Give a little tight pull, and that's going to kind of get everything in place here. So there I have my stars started. And all I'm going to do now is create a bail. Whether or not you're using one of these enhancers or a jump ring, that's up to you. What I'm going to do is just make a little bit of a loop with my 11-0s, and I can figure out what do I want to attach it to later. So I'm going to put 10 of my 11-0s on. Taking my needle and thread, I'm going to go through that same hole that my thread is coming out of in a round. And there's going to be your little loop at the top. I'm going to take my needle and thread and go back through all of those beads, which is going to reinforce that whole loop. So I'm going back through this whole thing. You can do that once, twice, that's up to you. If you would want to do a bracelet, what you can do is work your way over then to this side here, make another loop, or you can have it so it's going to hang on the sides of a necklace, and this would be the center. That's up to you. I'm just going to leave that little loop at the top and show you how to finish off. So I'm coming out the side of my Super Duo here, and what I want to do is I want to get back to my tail. My tail is coming out right here on the back, so I flipped it over, and my tail's coming out right here. So I want to get my thread and needle back to that starting point. I'm going to take my thread down the Super Duo from the upper hole to the bottom hole of that same Super Duo. Again, a little thread is going to be exposed on the side, and I'm also going through the top hole of the next Super Duo down. So I'm going through 2 holes of Super Duos. My needle and thread is then going to come to the side of that same Super Duo that I'm coming out of, and I'm going to go through, again, 2 Super Duos. I'm going through my pink one and my luster bead here, and then bringing my needle out. Again, going down that luster, and then through 2 beads. So through 2 of those luster, those grayish beads. I'm going to then go through the side here. So I'm going down my Super Duo. So this is a great way whenever you're working on Super Duos, that's a great way to hide the thread. You really don't see much thread at all when you go on the sides. Once I get to the end here, I'm just going to cut short. I'm going to take my hands and just tie another little knot. If you want, you can use some super glue. You can also use pliers just to give a nice tight pull. That's kind of up to you. Or you can use a thread burner. Thread burners are awesome because you can get really, really close. And I'm going to do that square knot there, tie off the center, and burn or cut down. And there you have your Super Duo star pendant. So again, they're a little bit chunky for earrings, but they will look fun for the right occasion. You can do it patriotic, you can do it softer. Again, you can do it as a snowflake and do more in these shapes rather than just 5 points. You could do a 6 point. That's up to you. But you can really play around with these different shapes and get some different ideas. The Super Duos are great because they do have that 2 hole that you can build upon, and you can get your design working that way. So whether or not you do this as a pendant, you do it as the centerpiece of a bracelet, hang with 2 loops on the sides, that's kind of up to you, but hopefully you have fun. It's a good way to kind of use up some random Super Duos because again, you only need 15 of one and 25 of the other color, and everybody has 11 O's sitting around. I like silver, so I tend to use a lot of the Duracoat as well as the new Crystal Labrador, which is a nice color from the Czech Republic. It's a little bit brighter, a little bit less yellow than the Duracoat. So have fun making this Star Super Duo pendant. If you do need any help, you can always feel free to comment and we'll try to help you out. If you would like to view the rest of our YouTube videos, it'll also give you tricks and some tips from adding thread to concealing it to what happens if a bead breaks, all of that. So check out the rest of the YouTube videos. You can visit us online at PotomacBeads.com and order from us online if you can't get to one of our locations. Our locations we would love to see you at. They're listed on our website, and they will carry the materials that you need for this pendant as well. So check them out. And again, if you can't get to us, you can always shop online. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'd be happy to get you these products.